Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. What is the purpose of AWS Device Farm's Test Retry feature? To manage AWS CloudWatch logs. To monitor AWS Redshift cluster performance. To automatically rerun failed tests. To optimize AWS Kinesis data streams. AWS Device Farm's Test Retry feature automatically reruns failed tests, helping developers identify intermittent issues and validate test results more effectively. What is AWS Device Farm's key benefit for global app testing? Access to devices in multiple regions. Real-time analytics dashboard. Built-in AI for test automation. Support for blockchain integration. AWS Device Farm provides access to devices in multiple AWS regions, enabling global app testing and ensuring consistent performance across different geographic locations. How does AWS Device Farm ensure secure access to test reports and artifacts? Through AWS Lambda function invocations. Through AWS S3 bucket ACLs. Through AWS RDS database encryption. Through AWS IAM roles and permissions. AWS Device Farm ensures secure access to test reports and artifacts through AWS IAM roles and permissions, controlling access and maintaining data security throughout the testing lifecycle. How does AWS Device Farm manage test artifacts generated across different test runs? Combines artifacts into a single archive. Deletes artifacts after each run. Stores artifacts in separate project folders. Shares artifacts with AWS Redshift clusters. AWS Device Farm stores test artifacts generated across different test runs in separate project folders, facilitating easy access and management of artifacts for analysis and reporting. What is the role of AWS Device Farm's real-time logs feature during test runs? To optimize AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. To monitor AWS Lambda function invocations. To manage AWS RDS database instances. To capture device logs during test execution. AWS Device Farm's real-time logs feature captures device logs during test execution, providing developers with real-time visibility into app behavior and performance. What is the role of AWS Device Farm's project feature? To organize test runs and resources. To configure AWS Direct Connect. To schedule AWS Lambda functions. To automate AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. AWS Device Farm's project feature allows developers to organize and manage test runs and resources efficiently, providing a structured approach to testing activities. What is the purpose of AWS Device Farm's video recording feature during tests? To stream live test sessions. To monitor AWS S3 bucket performance. To analyze CPU usage. To capture the test execution process. AWS Device Farm's video recording feature captures the test execution process, providing developers with visual insights into application behavior and test results. How does AWS Device Farm ensure data privacy during test runs? By encrypting test data in transit. By wiping device data after each session. By restricting access to device logs. By archiving test reports in AWS Glacier. AWS Device Farm ensures data privacy during test runs by wiping device data after each session, preventing unauthorized access and maintaining confidentiality of test data. What is the role of AWS Device Farm's test reports? To manage AWS IAM permissions. To track Amazon RDS database queries. To monitor AWS Lambda function executions. To provide insights into test results and device logs. AWS Device Farm's test reports provide detailed insights into test results and device logs, helping developers identify issues and optimize their mobile applications. How does AWS Device Farm manage test data privacy across different projects? By sharing AWS IAM roles across projects. By using AWS Direct Connect for data transfer. By isolating project data. By archiving data in AWS Glacier. AWS Device Farm manages test data privacy across different projects by isolating project data, ensuring that each project's test data is stored securely and accessible only to authorized users. What is the purpose of AWS Device Farm's artifact storage feature? To manage AWS IoT device shadows. To optimize AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. To store test logs and screenshots. To monitor Amazon RDS database metrics. AWS Device Farm's artifact storage feature stores test logs, screenshots, and other artifacts generated during test runs, providing developers with access to detailed information for debugging and analysis. What is the purpose of AWS Device Farm's test retries feature? To update AWS IAM policies. To monitor AWS Lambda invocations. To automatically rerun failed tests. To generate performance benchmarks. AWS Device Farm's test retries feature automatically reruns failed tests, helping developers identify intermittent issues and validate test results more effectively. How does AWS Device Farm manage device concurrency for testing? By allowing multiple test sessions on each device. By using AWS Lambda for device scaling. By limiting tests to one device at a time. By prioritizing high-traffic devices. AWS Device Farm manages device concurrency for testing by allowing multiple test sessions on each device, optimizing resource utilization and reducing testing time. How does AWS Device Farm support device-specific testing configurations? Through device pools. Through AWS AppStream virtualization. Through AWS Lambda function triggers. Through AWS RDS database integration. AWS Device Farm supports device-specific testing configurations through device pools, allowing developers to create custom test environments tailored to specific device configurations and requirements. What is the primary benefit of using AWS Device Farm for testing? Low-cost deployment options. Integration with Amazon S3. Automated code reviews. Access to a large fleet of real devices. The primary benefit of AWS Device Farm is access to a large fleet of real devices, which helps ensure comprehensive testing across different devices and configurations. What is an advantage of using AWS Device Farm over simulators and emulators for testing? Faster test execution. Tests on real devices with diverse configurations. Lower cost per test run. Integrated debugging tools. AWS Device Farm offers the advantage of testing on real devices with diverse configurations, providing more accurate results compared to simulators and emulators. What is the benefit of using AWS Device Farm's session management feature? To maintain test session continuity. To optimize AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. To archive test logs in AWS Glacier. To monitor AWS CloudWatch metrics. AWS Device Farm session management feature helps maintain test session continuity, allowing developers to resume interrupted sessions and ensuring consistent testing without loss of progress. What is the benefit of using AWS Device Farm's integration with AWS X-Ray for mobile app testing? To optimize AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. To trace and analyze app performance issues. To manage AWS IAM roles. To monitor AWS CloudFormation stack updates. AWS Device Farm's integration with AWS X-Ray for mobile app testing enables developers to trace and analyze performance issues, helping diagnose bottlenecks and optimize app performance. What is the advantage of using AWS Device Farm's built-in test environment configuration templates? Integration with AWS CloudFront. Support for automated Docker deployments. Real-time analytics dashboard. Pre-configured settings for common devices. AWS Device Farm's built-in test environment configuration templates offer pre-configured settings for common devices, simplifying test setup and ensuring consistency across testing environments. How does AWS Device Farm ensure data integrity during test executions? By managing test artifacts in AWS S3. By encrypting test data in transit and at rest. By synchronizing test data with AWS DynamoDB. By storing test data in multiple AWS regions. AWS Device Farm ensures data integrity during test executions by encrypting test data in transit and at rest, maintaining confidentiality, and preventing unauthorized access to sensitive information. What is the maximum duration of a single test run on AWS Device Farm? 1 hour. 30 minutes. 3 hours. 24 hours. The maximum duration of a single test run on AWS Device Farm is 1 hour, ensuring efficient testing cycles without excessive resource consumption. Which of the following devices does AWS Device Farm support for testing? Smart TVs. Amazon Echo. Windows PCs. iOS and Android devices. AWS Device Farm supports testing on both iOS and Android devices, providing a comprehensive testing environment for mobile applications. How does AWS Device Farm ensure device compatibility for testing on new OS versions? By updating device fleets regularly. By using AWS IAM roles per OS version. By automating device upgrades through AWS Lambda. By limiting tests to older OS versions. AWS Device Farm ensures device compatibility for testing on new OS versions by updating device fleets regularly, ensuring that the latest OS versions are available for testing without manual intervention. What is the benefit of using AWS Device Farm's test notification feature? To optimize AWS Elastic Beanstalk deployments. To receive alerts on test completion and failures. To manage AWS IAM policies. To monitor AWS Lambda function invocations. AWS Device Farm's test notification feature sends alerts to developers on test completion and failures, allowing timely action and monitoring of testing activities. How does AWS Device Farm support debugging of mobile apps during test runs? Through AWS Direct Connect for debugging. Through integration with AWS Kinesis. Through automated memory profiling. Through real-time device logs and video recording. AWS Device Farm supports debugging of mobile apps during test runs by providing real-time device logs and video recording, enabling developers to diagnose and resolve issues efficiently. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and, if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.